have a strong beginning together. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, numbers are growing. Those of you that are coming on, just coming on, want to give you a welcome. Welcome to Moving Forward on Universal Child Care. This is the Virtual Advocacy Day. Please allow a few minutes for some more friends to come on, and then we will officially begin. Welcome, get yourself something to drink, sit back, relax. You might want to get something to write with. All right, give us a moment or two. Thank you. Okay, as the numbers are growing, I'm going to do one more roundabout welcome to those who are just coming on to the call. While you all are waiting for us to officially begin, and it will be momentarily, how about putting your name and affiliation into the chat so we can get an idea on who in our childcare community has joined us today? Again, welcome, welcome, welcome to Moving Forward. This is about moving forward on universal child care. This is the virtual child care rally given by Empire State Campaign for Child Care. We will begin momentarily. Thank you. Okay, welcome, welcome, everyone. I think I wore the welcome word out, but you never could do it too much. My name is Vanetta T. Rhodes, and I will be your facilitator, or you can even call me the conductor of this train today on moving forward on universal child care. Avanzar en la atención infantil universal. Welcome, bienvenidos to everyone. And I said that why? Because before we begin, and we can't officially begin without informing our friends that we do have an interpreter present with us. So I am going to move over to Maria Sigourney, who's going to just introduce the interpretation, and that will be present during this experience today.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maria Sigourney. Thank you, Vanetta. I'm going to be the interpreter today. And as Vanetta was saying, we're going to have simultaneous interpretation. So if you're not fully bilingual in English and Spanish, we ask you to please access the interpretation tool, because people may be speaking Spanish or making comments. So to access the interpretation tool, please go, if you're on a computer, go to the globe at the bottom of your screen where it says interpret, and then choose Spanish. If you're going to see that globe, so find the three little dots at the bottom right corner of your cell phones or tablets where it says more. Press those three little dots, and then you will see a menu. You can go up and down that menu with your finger until you find the option language interpretation, and then choose English, and make sure to hit done to save your preferences. If you are going to be speaking today, especially if you're going to be reading something aloud, any document, I beg you to please speak slowly, because I'm going to be catching up in Spanish. Spanish is usually 3 times longer, so I'm going to be catching up the whole time. If you get really excited, we're going to have to remind you to slow down. I'm going to be repeating these exact same instructions in Spanish now for our Spanish speakers. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es María Sigorni y voy a ser la intérprete para esta tarde. Tenemos interpretación simultánea porque la mayoría creo que va a ser presentada en inglés. Entonces, si están en una computadora, pueden ver un globo en la parte de abajo de sus computadoras donde dice Interpretation. Pueden presionar ese globo y luego escoger donde dice español. Si están en una tableta o en un celular, no van a poder ver el globo, sino que van a buscar los 3 puntos en la parte de abajo de su pantalla, de sus tabletas o teléfono celular, donde dice More. Presionen esos 3 puntos y se va a desplegar un menú donde dice Language Interpretation o interpretación de idiomas. Y luego van a escoger donde dice español y asegúrense de presionar donde dice done o finalizado para que se guarden sus preferencias. Si van a hablar el día de hoy, por favor, hablar despacito, especialmente si van a estar leyendo algo, tendemos a hablar muy rápido cuando estamos leyendo. Entonces, por favor, hablar despacio. Y si se emocionan un poquito cuando estén hablando y están hablando muy rápido, vamos a tener que interrumpir para recordarles que hablen un poco despacio para la interpretación. Y eso sería todo. Muchas gracias.
Maria, have you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Once again, for those, because we have moved from 300 people to 339, and the numbers are growing. That's how wonderful today is. I'm going to move forward. Again, just want to introduce myself one more time. My name is Vanetta T. Rhodes. I am a member of Empire State Campaign for Child Care. I'm also first and foremost, always say, a mother. And my son was in child care. He's an alumni now. And I am also a previous child care director. And I'm happy to be here. And I'm co-founder of Western New York Child Care Action Team. Welcome, everyone. Just a few things. Please make sure this is a cameras on event. It's not mandatory for your camera to be on, but so that we can view the beauty of our child care community, please try to have your camera on if you can. And while the speakers are on, double check your mic and make sure that your mic is off. So that way there's no background noise to interrupt the speakers while they are being engaged. And finally, smile. Today's a wonderful day, and our work in childcare has been vigilant, and it will continue to be strong. But the only way it will do that is together. So feel good about what you're doing. Feel good today. Okay. And I'm going to move into the agenda for today. We have entertainer that and I want to call her an artist that we will go to. And then after that, we have a fabulous supreme panel of speakers to introduce you to bring us the updates, the news, so that we are engaged and ready for this year and have a strong arm of advocacy will be moving. And then we will bring things to a close as well with some comments from some other members of our panel. There are so many names that I'm not going to name all the names now. I will introduce as I go. So that way you get my full attention. So first off, we want to bring on, again, entertainer, performer, artist, Jane Sapp, who is nationally admired cultural worker, musician, educator, and activist, whose approach to social transformation is rooted in African American musical traditions. Jane actively engages people in creative cultural processes, writing songs together, telling stories. I remember to slow down, shaping festivals, and designing museums of local culture. She is the author of Let's Make a Better World, Stories and Songs by Jane Sapp, and associated podcast that is practical resource for educators, chorus leaders, and others to engage, seeking to engage with the power of music. So please, even though we are on Zoom, let us see you put your hands together for Jane Sapp. Yay!
Thank you, Vanetta, and I am so honored to be a part of this gathering. I know that the gathering is called Moving Forward on Universal Child Care. And so, moving forward is what I want to sing about today. My song is called Moving On. Moving on, moving on. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing can hold me down. No one can keep me back, 'cause we're moving on, moving on. The road may be rough, the way may be long, but we got to keep on keeping on. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing can hold me down. And no one can keep me back, 'cause we're moving on. Get your ticket, climb aboard. This train is headed for a better world. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing can hold me down. No one can keep me back, 'cause we're moving on. Clap your hands, turn around. Quiet voices are crying out loud. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing can hold me down. No one can keep me back, 'cause we're moving on. Let's work together. I don't care how long it takes. We've come this way before, 'cause we're moving on, moving on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope I'm not overwhelming the mic with my screaming, but that was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on. Ain't no stopping us now, like they said back in my day. And we're going to keep moving on in that energy. Thank you, Jane Sapp. And we're going to go to the next speaker. The next speaker is Erica Gallegos of Child Care Network. And let me tell you a little bit about her. Erica Gallegos is the co-director of the national campaign known as the Child Care for Every Family Network. Erica has a long personal history in child care advocacy. She started as an early childhood educator first in Maryland public schools and then in a private child care center in Albuquerque. Having experienced all the challenges and frustrations confronting families and providers, Erica decided she could do more for children as an organizer. She found work with the American Federation of Teachers, organizing child care center providers in New Mexico. In 2018, she started working with a grassroots campaign known as Ole. Her job was to work with the New Mexico Center on Law and Poverty to recruit plaintiffs for a 2018 suit against the New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families Department for illegal practices that prevented eligible parents from obtaining child care assistance. Eventually, Erica was promoted to the role of policy director, working with a coalition of members to pass state legislation, including paid sick days and the constitutional amendment that declares child care is a constitutional right. I heard that. That constitutional amendment included a dramatic boost in funding to ensure that the promise will be made real. Erica holds a BA in psychology from the University of New Mexico and is a mother to an 11-year-old and a 3-year-old. Please put your virtual hands together for Erica Gallegos.
Thank you, Vonetta, for that introduction. And thank you all for having me. I am really excited and happy to be here with you all today. It's still morning for me. I'm in New Mexico and it snowed here, so it's nice to see the snow on the mountains from inside my house. But either way, so yes, as Vonetta said, I started my career as a child care provider, first in Maryland public schools. I taught in Prince George's County. I worked with 4-year-olds, and then I came home to Albuquerque to be with my family here in New Mexico, and I worked in a private child care center. I was making $12.50 an hour. And I couldn't pay my bills. And so I started to, and I loved working with the children and having myself having grown up and being the first in my family to receive a college degree, and just knowing how education really helped me to lift myself out of poverty and just work in my community. I had a passion to ensure that all children, no matter their background, had access to childcare. So I decided to, and happened upon organizing. And as I started to talk with teachers and parents across the state of New Mexico, I realized that the $12.50 an hour I was making was really high in comparison to what others were being paid an hour to care for our children and to educate them. And this is one of the reasons that we started the campaign for a constitutional amendment in New Mexico. We have the fund in the nation. It has, at the time that we started the campaign in 2010, it had $12 billion, and 5% of that was going to education, K-Ed, and some other education sources. zero of it was going to early childhood education and childcare. And in order to use that education fund for childcare, we had to change our constitution. And so we were going every single year to the New Mexico legislature. We had rallies, we were building relationships, we were building a base with parents and providers, and childcare center owners and family childcare providers, home-based childcare providers, and other education providers across the state to really build this campaign and this momentum around a constitutional amendment. And, you know, we tried many other things. As Vonetta mentioned, we sued the state. That was one thing that we won. We were able to hold the state accountable for wrongfully denying parents childcare contracts and charging them really expensive copays. One parent we spoke with was paying half of her income in copays. And so we just realized that, you know, we have to go bigger and we need a permanent funding solution. And so we continue to chip away, to go every single year to the legislature to change our constitution. And we also lost a few things, right? We tried to pass a soda tax that didn't pass, and a few other things, but our momentum continued to build. During the pandemic, our state received federal stabilization money, and because of the relationship that we had with the legislature and the governor, we were able to remove copays altogether for parents that receive childcare subsidies. We got the eligibility rate increased to 400% of the federal poverty level, and childcare, the rates paid to childcare were increased dramatically. We started to use a cost of care study instead of, so to pay the true cost of care to childcare, and childcare providers were able to win a pay increase. And so, but you know, after every year going to the legislature, after 12 years, we were finally able to pass a constitutional amendment through the legislature, and it went to the voters, and the voters passed it with 70% of the vote. First of its kind constitutional amendment in the nation with 70% of the vote. That really speaks volumes to what voters really want and where we really need to put our money, and that's in childcare. And the reality, though, is that, you know, the organization that I was previously with is now going back to the legislature to ensure that this money is spent the way that they intended, to increase to keep all of the increases that we were able to get during the pandemic, because of course the stabilization money is not reoccurring, right? So and to continue to increase wages as well as other things. And the other reality is that the money that we won through this constitutional amendment is still not enough. We still need a federal campaign. We still need a national restructuring of the child care system. And so we learned a lot from that campaign, and through the Child Care for Every Family Network, where I am at now, we're working with organizations across the country in states, in every state, that are folks that are on the ground like you all, organizing with parents, going to their legislatures to build that momentum so that we can really build the momentum that we need at the federal level, especially because this broken childcare system disproportionately affects Black, Indigenous, and other women of color, people of color in general, but especially women and femmes of color with children. And so at the Child Care for Every Family Network, we really want to partner with folks in all 50 states plus DC and Puerto Rico, because the system that we get at the federal level is going to be implemented at the state level. And we want to ensure that the way that it's implemented is culturally appropriate, is equitable, and really speaks to the needs of providers and parents, and that you all are focused or rather centered and have a say at the table when decisions are being made for you, right? And just this morning, Senator Patty Murray had a press conference ahead of tonight's State of the Union address, where she was really highlighting with others. She had parents there and other senators and other Congress people really highlighting the need for Congress to prioritize childcare. So I just want to say you all are not alone. You all are doing incredible work. You're an important piece to this puzzle. It can be and feel like a long road, but I can tell you from experience that you are building momentum in this moment with parents and providers. And again, I want to thank you for having me here. We can win, we will win, and it's going to take persistent, consistent organizing on the ground with you all and others across the nation. And again, I'm with the Child Care for Every Family Network. Please do join our email list. There's lots of offerings that we have coming that we would love for you all to join. So thank you again for having me. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. We wish you did not have to stop. Please, everyone, give Erica Gallegos a virtual hand. And what she did was fuel power by this. I want to teach everyone this chant. And when it just goes like this, whose children? And when you hear me say that, you can keep your mic off, but hold your fist up and go, our children. And I can see you. And I'll say, whose business? Hold your fist up again and say, our business. Whose children? Our children. Whose business? Our business. And I'll put that chant in the chat so that you can share it with your groups that you advocate with and send that message, because Erica got us started. Thank you so much. Our next speaker, oh my goodness, I cannot just speaking of fire, speaking of power, Senator Jabari Brisport. Let me read about him. Representing the 25th Senate District in Brooklyn, is chair of the Senate Committee on Children and Families and the lead sponsor of the Universal Child Care Act. Introduced in 2022, our champion, and developed after the senator conducted a statewide tour of child care settings during which he talked to parents, educators, providers, employers, and officials from every region of New York. The senator has worked closely with Empire State Campaign for Child Care to strengthen support for universal child care in communities
Hey,
and
Vanessa,
states.
I'm so
Yes.
sorry to interrupt your flow. It looks like we've maybe lost the senator.
Oh, okay, move on to the next.
Yeah, let's move on and we'll come back to him when he's able to join again. I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, either way it go, let's please hold up your fists again. Whose children? Our children. Whose business? Our business. And with just as much power, I want to introduce, because it doesn't change, it's the same power, but in a different body. Assembly member Andrew Hevesy, representing the 28th Assembly District in Queens, is chair of the Assembly Committee on Children and Families. He is a strong supporter of Empire State Campaign for Child Care and a child care champion working to increase access, decrease regulatory barriers, and fairly compensate providers, amen, and the child care workforce. He was the author of 2 important pieces of child care legislation passed, not just written, passed in 2022. So without any further ado, and please everyone, this is not a silent a thing. If you feel power, put it in the chat. Put all that power in the chat, or raise your fist, or clap, or something. Give that energy and bring on to help bring on Assemblyman member Andrew Hevesy.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Can we hear me? Can I get a thumbs up if you can hear me? Great. So my name is Andy Hevesy. Thank you, Vanetta. It's good to see you. And also thank you to everybody at the the Empire State Child Campaign. My colleague, Senator Brisport, and I are in Albany. So every once in a while we'll be called away to vote. So I apologize for that. And that's what happened to Senator Brisport, I'm sure, but hopefully we can get him back. Listen, this group has shown its power. We saw it last year. This group is responsible, your people and the providers on the ground, the people on this call, you are responsible for the largest single investment in the history of the state of New York for kids. Simple as that. And it only happens with your tenacious advocacy and your guidance and advice. And we had a great year. And this year, as Albany goes, sometimes last year was a year for childcare. This year, they're talking about this is the year for housing. But the issue for us is to make sure that every year is the year for childcare. Every year is the year for kids. If you're an elected official, your goal should be very simple. Just when you leave office, you got to leave office better and society better, in better shape than when you started. That's why we focus on kids. That's why we focus on early child care education. That's why it's so important. Now, for this year, we have a lot of ground to cover. So we did great last year. We still have a significant problem with the number of parents and families who are eligible. We have enough eligibility, but we don't have enough parents and kids taking advantage of those subsidies. So we've got to get that number up. The way I believe you get that number up is you start paying the workforce. Pay this workforce. That workforce has been taking care of us for decades. They are underappreciated and they are undervalued, and it's got to stop. We had a very good start last year. It was helpful, but we need to switch our attentions to make sure that we pay our workforce and our people who are taking care of our kids, the most important members of our society. We've got to do it for their families. We've got to do it so they stay in business. And we have to do it so we can increase the number of available slots for our kids. It's a win-win all around. So we're going to be going for that. We did pass some bills last year that are being interpreted in a way we didn't love. So we're going to come back and we're going to make sure that parents who are working part-time also have access to subsidies, and that it shouldn't be based on what type of job you have, whether you have a part-time or a flex schedule. So we're going to be coming back on that. And then one more point, and I think this is crucially important. Last year, the Assembly and the Senate, both in our legislative resolutions for the budget, included a path and a mechanism for immigrant children to get childcare. And we were told no at the negotiating table. Well, my friends, we don't like being told no. And when you're on the right side of history, you're going to keep coming back. And that's what we're going to be doing this year. We have Assembly Member Catalina Cruz from Queens will be carrying that bill. That bill will be moved soon, but we're going to go after this in the budget because what's right for our kids is right for all kids. We're going to make New York a beacon of childcare. I am grateful to have listened to what was going on in New Mexico, but sorry, you're New Mexico. We're New York. We're going to beat you. We're going to do better. And the way we're going to do better is really push this year to make sure that we invest in our workforce primarily, and all of the other issues that we know from you and our friends are needed to make childcare what it should be, universal in the state of New York. I'm so honored, Vanetta, to be here with you. And I thank Senator Brisport for his inspirational leadership. I hope you get to hear from him shortly, but we are up here fighting with you, and we're going to have a good year. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be here today. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, Assembly Member Hevesy. Thank you for everything you do. And please come up to Western New York and see us again. And he inspired the next.
Hey, Vanetta, we lost your audio.
Can you hear me now? Okay, it's probably because forces outside of us saw our next chant and they got mad. So let's keep them mad by saying this chant. And though your mic is off, let me see you bop to it a little bit. And it goes like this. And it was inspired by Hevesy. No justice, no peace. Childcare funding must increase. No justice, no peace. Childcare funding must increase. No justice, no peace. Childcare funding must increase. All right, excellent. And that's in the chat for you all who want to use it. I'm going to move on to the next speaker. Oh, and definitely no justice, no peace fits this very important woman. And if you don't own her book, I own it. Please do. Her name is Denisha Jones, PhD, JD. Denisha Jones is the executive director of Defending the Early Years Incorporated, a nonprofit organization working for a just, equitable, and quality early childhood education for every young child. She is a former kindergarten teacher and preschool director who spent the past 19 years in teacher education. She is a part time faculty member in the Art of Teaching program at Sarah Lawrence College and the School of Education at Howard University. Since 2017, she served on the steering committee for the National Black Lives Week of Action. Her first co-edited book, Black Lives Matter at School: An Uprising for Educational Justice, was published in December 2020 by Haymarket Books. Without any further ado, please put your virtual hands together once again for Denisha Jones.
Hello, I'm not Denisha Jones. Denisha was unable to join us today. So instead we'll be sharing a video of the what she would have shared with us.
Greetings, my name is Denisha Jones, and I am delighted to share my remarks with you today. My career in early childhood education began as a kindergarten teacher in Washington, D.C., and then I worked as a preschool director and then spent the past 18 years in teacher education at the university level. I've always been passionate about expanding access to childcare for all families because I know how important high quality care is for families. When my mother immigrated to the United States from Panama and ended up being a single mom with 5 children, she was grateful for the Head Start program that picked us up and took us to school every day at no cost to her. And I was fortunate to benefit from the experience of having a good early childhood education in my early years. Without programs like Head Start, my mom would not have been able to work and take care of her family. But Head Start is not available to all families that need it. And that means many children lack the same opportunities as I had. Every child deserves a high quality early childhood education, and every family needs universal childcare. The cost of caring for young children is high because the work is of the utmost importance. Childcare providers serve an immense need and should not be required to live in poverty or barely make ends meet. And families should not be expected to bear the brunt of this expense. State governments have a responsibility to make universal childcare a right for all children and families. And by universal childcare, I do not mean academically focused preschool programs. The research out of Tennessee proves that an early focus on academics in preschool does not lead to better outcomes as children get to 6th grade and can even have negative effects. Universal childcare should be about high quality care, which is high quality education with a focus on play and active engagement. Children need space and time to develop naturally in safe and supportive environments with well-trained and well-paid early childhood teachers. I hope the state of New York will honor its commitment to all the children and their families and make universal childcare a reality. Thank you.
Okay, that was fabulous. Thank you very much. Even though she is not here, want to thank Danisha Jones for even giving us that video because, we could have had nothing. All right, so we are going to keep moving forward, which is the theme for today. And of course, I can't bring up one of my comrades without doing a quick chant that will be in the chat for everyone. And it's real simple. It goes, when I say childcare, you say now. And when I say childcare, just hold up your fist and say now and put your mouth, to it. So even though we can't hear you, we can see you say it. When I say childcare, you say now. Childcare now. Childcare now. When I say childcare, you say now. Childcare now. Childcare now. When I say action, you say now. Action now. Action now. All right. So I want to move on to the next person, or really people, and that is Stephen Morales, New York Policy Director at All Our Kin, and Andrea Davilar, child care provider from Queens and member of a powerful organization called ECE on the Move. And they're going to talk about what our budget demands are this year. Please put your virtual hand together for Andrea and Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vanetta. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here. We got 352 strong right now, and we're here to rally for childcare. My name is Stephen Morales. I'm the New York Policy Director at All Our Kin, and I'm here alongside my friend Andrea. Andrea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Stephen. My name is Andrea Davilar. I'm a child care provider from Queens, New York, and I'm a proud member of EC on the Move.
All right, ECE on the Move in the house. So Andrea and I are going to talk to you about our campaign's priorities for this year. Assemblymember Hevesy said it well. He said every year is the year for childcare, and we're going to make that true. So what are we fighting for now? I imagine we all have slightly different answers to this question, so I actually want to invite you to use the chat to say, what are you fighting for? What means most to you this year? And what we also need is a big unified goal for all of us. And that's why we're here. We're strong, we're together, we're unified. So as you all know, we have as a campaign 2 big picture long-term goals to get us to a universal childcare system. We want to see childcare for every single child and family who wants it in our state, in whatever setting they want. And at the same time, and this is just as important, we want to see thriving compensation for all childcare providers so that they can continue to provide that fantastic care that they do every single day. So that's what we are looking for in the long term. I want to take a second to look at what we accomplished last year, because we still have a lot to do, but we accomplished a lot in our fight last year. Assemblyman Hevesy talked about this a little bit. Last year, we stood together and we fought for changes that we won. And if we can go to the next slide, our accomplishments from last year, we won big. We increased eligibility for children and families across the state. We increased market rates to 70th percentile for all providers. And we accomplished a second round of stabilization grants for providers. Now, we are excited. We are proud of those accomplishments. We are grateful to our champions like Senator Brisport and Assemblyman Hevesy, but we all know that our work is not done. Again, Assemblymember Hevesy said it. Every year is the year for childcare. So right now, Andrea is going to tell us what specifically we are fighting for as a campaign this year. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you, Stephen. This year, we want to invest in early childhood workforce. We want help. We want to help more New Yorkers access to childcare, break down unnecessary barriers. Next slide, please. Okay, invest in early childhood workforce. Short term, $1 billion for workforce compensation, supplement of $12,500 for every provider this year. We want to be able to hold on to retain our employees. We don't want our employees to be running off to Target or McDonald's. We want to be able to hold on to them at least and give them the incentive in order to keep them on the job. Long-term, transition to true cost of care, reimbursement methodology. We want to be paid the true cost of child care. That's what we need. Next slide, please. Help make New Yorkers access child care. Child care assistance eligibility for undocumented children. Increase eligibility for child care to more families. Despite your background, despite immigration status, families should be able to access childcare and get it. Next slide, please. Break down unnecessary barriers to care. Make applications easier for you to use. This should be for parents as well and for us too, but parents need to be able to fill out the application, understand the application process, and get through it as easy as possible. Speed up application and termination process. We should not be waiting for 6 weeks to be determined whether we were approved or not. Pay based on enrollment, not attendance. Whether the child comes or not, we should be paid because we have workers to be paid. Automatic rate increase for providers. We should not have to fill out an application to get a pay increase. We should not have to do that. As providers, we know we already dealing with a lot. We shouldn't have to do that. Next slide, please. Okay, when we win, when we fight, we win. Together, we win big. One of the things I also wanted to mention is that compensation is the key to keeping our doors open, retaining our employees, and providing more family access to childcare, okay? And we are the workforce behind the workforce. That's what providers do. And parents, they are our clients and we're backing them all the way. When we fight for our parents too. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I just want to also, Vanetta, which can I just add one thing? We have a whole list. So that was, Andrea did a summary of what we're asking for. Katie is going to put in the chat in just a second. If you want to read the full list of all of our campaigns, very specific goals for this year, you can go ahead and do that. But Andrea just did a wonderful job of summarizing that for all of us. So sorry to cut you off there, Vanetta. Go ahead. I just wanted to make sure people knew they could see the full list in the chat.
No, there was no cut off. I was going to say, wow, for Stephen and Andrea, we need to get you at a march on Washington and speaking because you all delivered the power and the effectiveness. Thank you so much. I have another chant, but I'm not going to share it at this point. We'll do it at the end, but I will put in the chat, and it's called Show Me What Democracy Looks Like. And we'll do it at the end because Stephen and Andrea inspired that. But next, I'm going to move to our next speaker. Her name is Stevie Vargas, Citizen Action of New York Regional Director for the Western New York region. and she will be speaking to us as a parent. So without any further ado, please put your virtual hands together for Stevie Vargas.
Wow, am I glad to be back in this space with some of the most amazing folks I have had the privilege to meet, organize, and work with. As a parent, as someone who still to this day does not have access to childcare, this is a cause and a fight that I will be invested in until all people are included in universal childcare, regardless of their immigration status. It is my goal to end the generational struggle of access to childcare for our parents and for our children. And quick plug, because this is something that I'm very passionate about. If you have not read Essential Labor, Mothering as Social Change, that focuses on childcare, you must do it. I will add parenting as social change, because we all have a role in the parenting and rearing of the children in our communities. It truly takes a village. And y'all, eggs is $6 right now, above $6, depending on where you are in this state. And if we cannot afford to feed our children, how are we going to afford childcare? Parents, people in the workforce are tired of having to choose between paying for medication and paying for access to childcare so that they continue to go to work. Parents and workers are tired of making the decision of, do I leave the workforce and lose income to stay home with my kids? We live in one of the richest states in the nation. I refuse to hear that we cannot do this, because we can. When there is a will, there is a way, and our budgets are moral documents. And I want to see major investments for childcare so that we are all taken care of. Our childcare educators, our CCR&Rs, who are the workforce behind the workforce. I saw that in the chat, and I will be adopting that because that is so true. There are so many folks who are stakeholders in this issue, and together we can get everything that we need for our workforce, for our parents, and our children. And this has been hard, grueling work, but it is something that we will continue to do so that it gets easier for the next generation, for the next parent, for the next childcare educator, for the next provider who dreams of opening up a childcare facility or a home-based childcare center. These are the dreams that we need to uplift and uphold so that we can all be equal participants in our society, because we are the backbone, because the work that we do is essential and it deserves to be paid equitably. Pay us what we deserve so that we can continue to support our families and build our economy. And I'm Puerto Rican, I'm a proud Puerto Rican, and we have a saying, and it's called pa'lante, which means to move forward or straight ahead. We are not looking to go backwards. And together, we will pa'lante for our childcare providers. We will pa'lante for our childcare workers and educators. We will pa'lante for our CCR&Rs. We will pa'lante for our parents, regardless of their immigration status. And we will pa'lante for our children who are the future. And thank you everybody for having me here. I will always speak up on this cause, because we cannot do the good work that we do without access to childcare. That is absolutely essential. Thank you.
Pa'lante, pa'lante, seize the time, pa'lante. All right, 2468, childcare makes our children great. That's another chant I will put in the chat for you. We will keep this train moving to the next power speaker. I'm saying that because I love this woman and I respect and admire her so much, as well as the rest of our panelists as well. But this woman here is such a wonderful comrade. Her name is Doris Irizarry, family child care provider, co-founder, along with Gladys Jones of ECE on the Move. Let's hear what she has to say. Palante.
Hello, Vanetta. I'm sorry, you're gonna have some background noise because we are traveling from Los Angeles to New York. But yes, I've been a childcare provider for 25 years, and we need the corporate care. We need so much, but we have improved, but we need more to go on. Every day, providers are closing their doors permanent. The stabilization grant was not enough. It was a temporary Band-Aid. I said it then and I'm saying it now. I'm seeing members of ECE, providers from all walks of life closing their doors. This is not just a New York problem. This is a national problem. I speak to providers all over and they're having the same problem. Cost of care needs to be implemented. Compensation for workers, childcare providers, childcare workers should be put in. You need to say something, Sanita?
Doris, you got it. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. So that's all I have to say. We're in it, not for today. We're in it for the long haul. Into each modality of care is not taken care of, we're not gonna stop. That's why ECE was created. That's all we have to say. We have to jump in the cab. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Doris. You weren't long, but you were strong. And that was what was important. 2468. Childcare makes our children great, makes our children great. And we're going to keep going with this power. And this is our final speaker. If Senator Bridgeport has not come on, and I did not get any word for that, and introduce Shoshana Hertzgott. I hope I'm saying her last name right. Hertzgott, statewide organizer for education and childcare at Citizen Action of New York. Come on and close us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanetta. I'm so happy to be here. I love this childcare space. Some of the most fierce and incredible people I have ever had the privilege of working with. Before we close out, I want to tell you really quickly my own childcare story as a parent. I was a teacher. I taught for 10 years in the public schools before I had my first child. And part of why I didn't return to the workforce was the cost of childcare. I didn't have the ability to have like a parent who was well enough to stay and work. My husband and I didn't have that flexibility. And we looked at every option. We looked at like, could we find like the part-time exemption or something? Could we find something that was affordable that wouldn't eat up half of our take-home pay? And the answer was largely no. So I left my career and started to work part-time and freelance and do all sorts of things and be a stay-at-home parent to my two kids. And I'll tell you, I was a high school teacher. Caring for two small people is far harder than teaching 80 high school kids in a room. So full every child care educator, because it is hard work, it is rewarding work, and you are the reason that we are prioritizing this action that we're going to close out with together. We've seen we're a really fierce, incredible force to be reckoned with, and we are going to take action together. Today is the first step. We have a couple of training sessions on February 9th and February 11th to prepare us for our advocacy day next week, next Tuesday in Albany, where we are going to bring all of Vanetta's chants and all of this energy to the Capitol and let our lawmakers know that child care workers deserve not just a living wage, they deserve to thrive, and that families deserve affordable, high quality, culturally responsive child care. Everyone deserves that, and too many people in this state can't access it. Too many people are leaving the workforce. Too many moms are choosing between their career and their children. And we're going to start right now. We're going to practice flexing our advocacy muscles together. I'm dropping this link in the chat right now. Let me just make sure I can do this. Y'all see that? It's the Action Network tool. You're going to click on that and we're going to all send letters. And I want to just point out before you read the whole thing, before you click and send, this letter is for so many of you on this call. It is for the providers. It is one of our biggest asks is making sure that you get the living wage and the thriving wage you deserve, because you do not deserve to be in the bottom 3% of earners. You deserve to be compensated for the outstanding work that you do for children and families. So that is a top priority of this campaign this year. So we're asking, there are 331 people right now on this call. Let's all click. Let's all send that letter. Let's show the beginning of our collective muscle. And then Albany, you're not ready for us on February 14th. We are not only bringing the thunder, we are bringing the love, because it's Valentine's Day, right? So click right now and let's get these letters sent out. And then I will leave it, I guess, Vanetta, close us out, because like you are all things to all people on this call today. Thank you so much.
All right, please put a virtual hand together for Shoshana, for Doris, Irizarry, and ECE on the move, for Andrea, and for but for all of our speakers. I shouldn't have set myself up like that, and Stephen. So again, please, this is not the customary ending. You're not ending with just getting off. You're ending in action. Go to the link, fill out the letter, and then you can close your Zoom. Thank you very much on behalf of Empire State Campaign for Childcare, on behalf of the organizing committee who put all of this together, this today's experience, and also the experience and power that will happen in Albany in person on February 14th, called Love Day. But whatever day you want to call it, just your day to be there, that's what's most important. Please show your support and show your love through that letter. Can you put that link for the letter in the chat again so it doesn't get lost with all the postings that's happening right now? Remember, you're ending in action, okay? And I'm going to say this chant while you're ending in action. And it says, show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what childcare looks like. This is what childcare looks like. And all you have to do is point to yourself while I say it. But even if you can't point to yourself because you type in the letter, type that letter. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what childcare looks like. This is what childcare looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what childcare looks like. This is what childcare looks like. Yay! Palante, power. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey, show me what the marketing looks like. Show me what it looks like.
Hey.
See you in Albany
Spread the
next
word.
week.
Yes.